you have something to say?
The top 10 scariest books of all time, according to a contributor at GrimDark magazine. Now, I quite like the content they produce at GrimDark, so I will leave a link to their website in the show notes. In this video, I'll count down the 10 scary books. I'll give a one-line description of the plot, followed by a short extract from a reader review, either from a 5-star review or a 1-star review, just to mix things up. After the countdown, I'll share my thoughts on the list and which books I found to be particularly scary, and then I'll introduce you to my cat. Should be fun. If you're new to the channel, I hope you enjoy the content. I hope you'll consider subscribing. Your support is greatly appreciated. Now, this video has a specific style to it. If it's a style you like, I'll share a link to similar content in the show notes. Now, a quick intro sequence, and I'll see you on the other side to count down the top 10 scariest books of all time. Kicking off the list at number 10, A Headful of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay from 2015. As their stable home devolves into a house of horrors, they turn to a Catholic priest to conduct an exorcism and a production company to film it, which turns the family into the stars of a hit reality television show, The Possession. Scary? I mean, damn! So here we are in the opening minutes of the final episode, and we discover that we actually know jack and shit about the house's layout, and our heads are exploding. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. At number 9, The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones from 2020. 4 American Indian men, all haunted by a disturbing event that took place in their youth, find themselves tracked by an entity bent on revenge as the culture and traditions they left behind catch up to them with violence. I swear this novel was 1/5 about basketball. There was so much basketball talk, and when it wasn't about basketball, it was about motorcycles. I am gay. I didn't understand and didn't care. At number 8, Brother by Anya Alborn from 2015. When he meets Alice, a pretty girl working at a record shop in the small nearby town of Dahlia, he's immediately smitten. For a moment, he nearly forgets about the monster he's become, but his brother, Rebel, is all too eager to remind him of his place. Upon finishing it, I won't spoil it, I dropped the book, paperback, it's okay, and repeatedly squeaked in an unholy squeak, "What the fuck?" for probably a few minutes before I realized what I was doing. And my book has tear stains on the pages. Not many books get that honor, though I do cry easily. They don't often drip onto the pages. At number 7, Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy from 1985. A 14-year-old boy flees to Texas, leading him to become a scalp hunter, where he is paid for every Native American scalp he procures in a world of violence and depravity. There are atmospheric descriptions of the landscapes and the unvarnished depiction of the human race's darkest side. A side I frankly did not really want to know about, but I cannot deny its existence throughout our history. Its presence here makes this a brutal, blood-soaked, challenging read that is not for everyone, and which I can only recommend to those with the strongest of stomachs. At number 6, Beloved by Toni Morrison from 1987. In the mid-1800s, as slavery looks to be coming to an end, Setha is haunted by her dead baby daughter, Beloved, who returns as a spectre to punish her mother, but also to elicit her love. I found Beloved incomprehensible to the point of absurdity. It's one thing to have a book that is full of magic and poetry, or to have a character's passion overwhelm their ability to describe the world from time to time, but I also need to know what is going on. For the story to grab me, I need to know what the story is. At number 5, It by Stephen King from 1986. The promise they made 28 years ago calls them to reunite in the same place where, as teenagers, they battled an evil creature that preyed on the city's children. If you ignore the 26 instances of the hard R slur, blatant anti-Semitism, sexualization of all female characters, god-awful homophobia, child sexual abuse, rape, and child orgies, it's still fucking awful. You're fucking insane if you rate this over 1 star. At number 4, The Troop by Nick Cutter from 2014. Part Lord of the Flies, part 28 Days Later, this tightly written edge-of-your-seat thriller takes you deep into the heart of darkness, where fear feeds on sanity and terror hungers for more. I worry that when I rate a horror novel at 5 stars, people will actually read them and think I'm a psycho. Please don't read this book unless you've read a lot of horror and you know what you're doing. In the genre of horror, this book is aces, top tier. At number 3, The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty from 1971. Medical science is baffled by Reagan's spasms, convulsions, and unsettling amnesiac episode. So her mother turns to troubled priest and psychiatrist Damien Karras, who recognizes something profoundly malevolent in the child. I know this book is well loved throughout the horror community, but the first 100 pages or so really bored me. It didn't help that the writing was quite tedious as well. Too much talk about Jesus Christ and not enough talk about heads turning 180 degrees. At number 2, Nosferatu by Joe Hill from 2013. Charles Talon Manx likes to take children for rides in his 1938 Rolls-Royce Wraith and slip out of the everyday world onto hidden roads that lead to an astonishing playground of amusements he calls Christmasland, that transforms his passengers and leaves them as terrifying and unstoppable as their benefactor. To me, it was far too long, by at least 300 pages, and didn't really deliver much in the end. Bing, the sidekick, was infinitely more creepy than the supernatural Manx, and the whole story has a kind of comic book feel that made the horror seem more silly than terrifying. The book also lost points for crude language and tasteless humor. And coming in at number 1 is Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterica from 2017. An infectious virus has made all animal meat poisonous to humans, so governments initiated the transition to special meat, human meat, and Marcos is in charge of one of the country's many processing plants. This is my horror. I have found my perfect cocktail of disgust, intrigue, logic, and humanity. I am a firm believer in the government conspiracy side of this book. This has sparked so many good conversations for me with so many people. This might be a favorite of all time. I personally think that this is a pretty good list. The standouts for me would be A Headful of Ghosts, Brother, and The Troop. And I liked other books on this list, but those 3 are the standouts. And of those 3, it's really Brother that I found to be legit scary. There are no supernatural elements in this book that allow us to separate ourselves from the disturbing events that unfold. Instead, in Brother, Anya Alborn gives us gritty, realistic brutality, where a family in Appalachia kidnap young women and they brutalize and torture and kill them. It's violent and nasty, but also it still manages to have a heart, I think it's quite a remarkable accomplishment from a truly great writer. And if you're in the mood for some horror that shocks, disgusts, disturbs, and scares, I think Brother would be a very good choice. Do you have any experience with the books on this list? What are some of the standouts for you? I always enjoy connecting with you in the comment sections. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.